Welcome, everybody, to episode 10 of the Grimdark Breakdown. And I think it's appropriate for us to say thank you because officially today we passed 500 subscriptions. We did that in about a month. That's a really big deal. So we wanted to say thank you guys. We're trying to put out content that we think the community would like, that we would like. And we intend to not put it behind a paywall. As many of you guys have said that, you appreciate this stuff being all free, and that is our intent to keep it that way. So we just wanted to say thank you guys, and we're going to jump straight into it. There was a data slate, a sneaky data slate that dropped this morning. I didn't know about. Jason texted me before I even woke up.
Yeah, I was pretty vigilant. Got online, doing my normal social media feed searches while I was laying in bed trying to get awake. And I noticed that one of the other channels that I follow for my own faction, Death Guard, had posted that there was a big, not so big, but big nerf to Victrix Guard. And I'm like, there's no way unless there was an emergency data slate. So I went to my favorite little place to look, which is www.warhammer-community.com, and went to the download section, and lo and behold, there was a field moratorium manual, and there was some points adjustments there that we'll discuss, and there was some changes to some units. And at this time, I'm going to take my victory lap. I took my victory lap because I said it was going to happen. And then the last video, if you watched, Drake said it wasn't going to happen because the Blue Boys are the brand.
No, I just said that I didn't believe they would do an emergency patch. I thought they would get nerfed in April. I just didn't. I thought that they would give them their 3 months in the sun because they are the poster boys. You were right. I was wrong.
Maybe somebody from GW's
here's
watching.
The thing. I'm literally going to the Texas Open in 2 weeks, and list submission is due on the 9th. So I am thrilled because this data slate will take effect for the Texas Open, which is awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to jump into it. Here's the overview for Space Marines. For those of you that just want to skip ahead or kind of know what's coming up, Marines are still strong. Okay. Your new detachments, pretty much flavor, little underpowered, but keep in mind, they're supposed to be narrative detachments. The key changes here, Victrix card did take a nerf, but they also went down in points. So we'll talk about it. We'll dive into it. I'll give you my 2 cents from a competitive perspective. And then you guys got the single most cracked shit I have seen in a while in the Wardens of Ultramar. It is bananas stupid, and I promise you will see every single player running one. They'll just be proxying the models. It's not OP, but for the points and the amount of wounds that you get, you're stupid not to take it because it's such a good health for the points you're taking with okay rules attached to it.
I'll tell you something that's stupid. Did you see Calgar's?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, Calgar hasn't changed, though. Calgar's always been.
He is not, but he's really nasty now.
All right. So I'm going to go ahead just for the purpose so everybody kind of can see the units we're kind of talking about here. So we're going to talk about these guys, which, by the way, cool looking models. Love the new models. I think they're great. You want to kick us off, or you want me to kick off on this?
You can kick off on it.
So here's here's the sum of it. They went from 4 health to 3 health. Okay. They also, though, for 3 models went down 10 points, or 6 models went down 20 points. So here's why this is such a big deal. The points, 20 points doesn't really make that big of a difference in a Space Marine list. It's an enhancement maybe, or it's you upgrading a scout to an incursor squad or something, like shifting some points around. It's not really, 20 points doesn't really matter. Even if you're taking 3, getting 60 points back, it's like a scout squad. It's like an action monkey squad, or upgrading something. It's not a giant amount of points. And I'm curious why they decided to go this route. The only reason I say that is because taking them to 3 health makes them so much easier to kill. So there is a lot of guns in the game. Jason and I were talking about this before. Bloat drones, castigators. There are so many 3 damage guns out there that when they fail a wound, that's a dead model. A model goes down. When they have 4 health, you got to get 2 wounds through just to kill 1. That makes them significantly tougher, significantly harder to kill. So I am a little a little curious about that thought process. I really actually thought that they would just make it to where they could only do 1 out of turn movement. I thought that was the nerf that would be coming. I did not see them going to 3 health.
I'll
I don't know
say,
what you thought.
I'll say potentially for GW here by lowering them in health, affecting their durability, but then lowering the point cost. You know, we're about to start getting into competitive season already with the Texas Open not too long away, which is a golden ticket event. You are going to, I guess they wanted to do something right now because they're such a dominant factor in the meta that they want to see with all these big competitive events coming about. Like, is there
Well,
something
they were winning
further?
everything.
Yeah, but if there's something further needed
Yeah.
when we
Oh,
do
I
the
think
next one.
this is a soft touch. I think it is
Yeah.
a soft touch. I do think though, all of a sudden this unit, it like thinking about it, like the 3 armies that I play, they were a nightmare because like if I talk about sisters, you know, I'm praying to get a Melta through and then praying that I roll good on it to be able to pop one. That's really unlikely. But all of a sudden, with them only having 3 health, man, Sacrosaint's doing 2 damage a pop. Okay, that math doesn't really change, but castigators, 3 damage a shot, that's a lot easier. Or a Melta wound that goes through when it's in range, it's Melta 2, doesn't matter what I roll anymore. Like they're dead. So that helps a lot. World Eaters have a lot of 3 damage attacks. Dark Angels have a lot of 2 and 3 damage attacks. So it's just it's a spicy change. I think what's going to happen, this is my 2 cents. I think that I think 1 unit is still auto include because when you have them with Calgar, so they get the +1 to wound, I think they're still a very tough and a very good supporting unit for your army. But I think Ultramarines will feel less oppressive when there's not 12 of them on the board, that you just have a difficult time dealing with.
Yeah, and I mean, it opens them up for their new Warden squad to come in.
Yeah. So let's shift gears and talk about the Wardens. Okay. So here's the thing you got to know. So in this picture, it's got Titus, which is in the middle. Titus is not there. They can attach to basically everything. I mean, they can literally attach to like everything. Here's what matters. They're 90 points. So this unit is only 90 points. Why that's terrifying? This unit that you're seeing right here has a total of 20 wounds. These are 3 and 4 health respective characters that are, now they're only toughness 4. Okay, great. But they all have invuln saves of either 4s or 5s. They're averaging, because one of the characters actually has even more because you're going to take the shield on him. They're averaging 4.5 points per wound, which is nuts. That banner, surprise, surprise, gives them an additional OC. If they have another character leading them, they get another OC. So this unit is base 12 OC. Depending on the character you attach, it can actually go to 18 OC. That's why I said, like, just from the durability, 90 points for 20 wounds spread across 6 models. So it's not just like you could just get a big Tyrannofax that rolls a 6, and so it does 12 damage. You're like, haha, it's like, cool, you killed 1 model. Like, their range damage, very modest at best. Their melee is actually not bad. They are a real threat into, like, chaff or space marine type units. Like, they will do good melee damage. Their range is pretty blah. But what's really, really scary about them, they're 90 points. You put them with, like, well, I don't know, like the lieutenant that just went down in points, so now the whole unit has lethal hits. You got a 150 point unit on your expansion objective that the other person would have to commit 200 to 300 points to kill.
Yeah.
Or you put them on the middle point and you're going to have 20 OC on the middle point, and they can't, like, guard isn't going to throw a 20-man brick at you because you'll just blend through them like they're nothing. And they're tough enough that they will survive serious shooting too.
And I misspoke earlier. I didn't mean Calgar. I meant Titus.
Yeah. Titus is
Bonkers.
Yeah, he's
And if he can be attached to him, then you're going to have
Yep, the whole unit can have sustained hits, and and then You'll have a 20 OC unit with 26 health with invuln saves that you could just walk out and put on the middle point and just say, come deal with me while I have my Victrix Guard hiding behind the wall and my 2 repulsors ready to pop out, my repulsor executioners with 1,000 guns to shoot you.
Yeah, good luck. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, so meta take, I think this unit is incredibly efficient. I think it's auto include in every Ultramarine, and I would expect they've never done 2 hot fixes in a row ever. So I mean, it's incredibly unlikely. I would expect to see this on like 80% of Ultramarine players' tables, and it's just going to be a very hard unit to shift. You're going to need volume fire, and you're going to need a lot of volume 2 and 3 damage fire, which is not easy to come by.
And if they got Titus with him, you do not want to get in melee.
Yeah, because they're just going to rip and tear. All right. So while we're on the boys in blue, we can talk about their detachments. You want to take the first one, or you want me to?
I can. The Bastion Task Force, more of a heavy battle line focused detachment. But it's kind of like some of the Death Guard units, detachments, is you've got all these hoops you have to jump through. And I mean, the 2 detachments they currently run is plain and simple. You don't want to add a level of complexity to it unless you have to. I mean, it's worse than Gladius. It's worse than Stormlance. Now some other, sub-factions of the Space Marines could use it. Probably Black Templars could use it, but I don't see it being a mainstay for the Ultramarines or the Blue Boys. It's going to be for another one of their legions, just not for the Blue Boys.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's going to use it. I maybe because of the battle line stuff with Sword Brethren, maybe, I don't know. You might be cooking on something there, but no. Next is going to be their Orbital Assault Force. This is all about reserve and drop pod focus. I think it's actually a really, really, really cool, flavorful thing to do something around drop pods, but it is basically a 1-turn spike detachment. It has really bad internal synergy, like its own stratagems don't work well with one another. It's kind of complicated to try to make work. I think it might be one of the weakest detachments they've come out with. I think that they were cooking with the idea of, hey, drop pods haven't been relevant in multiple editions. Let's make something around them. So from that perspective, I think they were really, 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 really cooking. But man, it's just, I think they really, really, really missed it. Because like you can see here, like when they get on the battlefield, they get to reroll wounds of 1, and if they disembark from a drop pod through rerolling those hits, well, they're only going to disembark from the drop pod 1 time, and then your detachment rule goes away. So it's just really kind of blah.
Sounds like GW trying to reach to sell those drop pods that they released about 6 months ago.
Yeah, I mean, we can be cynical and say that. I mean, I actually think it's really cool because Space Marines are iconic for coming down in the drop pod and all that kind of stuff. I think that maybe like flavorful, this has got it. I just think that like make it to where like any unit that has disembarked from a drop pod gains X. It gains 2 inches of movement. It gains sustained hits or something. There's some cool stuff they could do.
Now, I'm going to ask a question. This is just because of my greenness to this and never having to play against a drop pod. Drop pod comes in. Can the drop pod be used as cover?
No. So the drop pod, think of it as like a vehicle. It doesn't move. It does actually have OC, or at least it used to. I don't know if it still does. But and it has like a storm bolter, like it has a little dinky gun, and I think it has like 1 OC, so it can do like a mission play or something. It has normal deep strike rules. The only difference is it can come in on turn 1,
and it can't move once it's down, right?
The old school one couldn't. I don't know, honestly. I haven't. I can look it up. I haven't actually. To your point, I haven't actually used. Let's look it up. I haven't used the new drop pod.
See, that would be interesting if you could, like, if the drop pod could drop down, then lift back off. That would be pretty cool. Because otherwise, it's just sitting there if it can't move. And, when you've got some kind of, I can't remember the card right off.
Yeah, it has no movement characteristic. Oh, it has no OC either.
Yeah, so I can't remember it right off the top of my head. Like, you know, what the card would be, but like the bring it down. Like
Yeah,
it's an easy
yeah.
bring it down.
It is a vehicle. It is a vehicle.
So I don't know why. I mean, I get it, but I don't know why you would
It's
run it.
cool, but it's just not a thing.
Yeah.
All right, next one. All you.
All right, Reclamation Force. Focus melee and defense. So, I mean, with this new unit they have coming out, I mean, it could see some play. It's solid. You know, Space Marines have some shooting, but I mean, they like getting into melee too. Um, I would say it's probably the best one of the new one we've gotten from them. Um, Probably like sixth or seventh. Don't do this stuff. I'm not a child. I'd see that all day. But seventh best Space Marine unit. But with the melee focus, I could see potential in Blood Angels, maybe because they're very like
Problem.
melee centric. But the
The,
problem is they've got way better detachments they
yeah,
can run.
the two melee. I mean, well, shit. Now Ultramarines are melee too, but
Yeah,
like it, all the Space Marine chapters like their melee, but they all have better, better detachments, whether
yeah.
it's Grotmus or Liberator, and then Dark Angels have Wrath of the Rock, and then Gladius and Stormlance are what Black Templar use. Blade of Ultramar is so much better than this. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna happen.
And what I have a tough time seeing is I get that we're at the end of the edition and you want to add some new ways of flavor for these armies, but really, how many detachments do we need?
Well, Space Marines need 45 apparently.
Well, I mean, I think they would be better off going into least played ones, retooling it and saying, hey, this was a grand idea. Let's see if we can actually make it competitive instead of
Yeah.
saying, all right, let's scrap it and let's go with something new that's not going to see any playtime either.
That's the big thing going on the internet right now is people are getting a little fatigued with the fact that Ultramarines keep getting more models and more models and more models and more models, and they keep getting more detachments. It's almost to a nauseating level. So, but here's the overall final take: Space Marines. They got some flavor. Even though I think Wardens are a strong unit, they're not a power unit. They're just really, I think they're going to be a difficult unit to shift. They remind me of like when Necrons were playing all the Catan shards just because they were so tanky for a while. I think it's similar to that, just a much lower degree. I think the Warden of Ultramar are the one exception of they did get a power bump with that, but I think they're going to stay strong. I think they just took a side grade, honestly. Now we'll go to the real heroes of the Imperium. The real main
The
character
bad bitches.
of 40K. There they are. The baddest ladies of them all.
You weren't lying. Those are some pretty good models.
So, my girls, I'm not going to complain. These are not out yet, but for some reason, they decided to bless us, and the points, the rules, everything for the Celestian Insidiants, I think is how you say it, came out today. So they're 120 points. They are a very weird unit. They're basically like a mid-cost infantry unit. My initial, they have a lot. The whole thing has anti-psyker 3+. So like for the Thousand Suns and the handful of other models, like that's really strong. Their melee is actually going to be interesting. I got to look at that and kind of think about it. I think they might be able to do some work in some melee, but they're mostly a melee unit. They can get hand flamers or like an Inferno pistol. They're going to be a skirmishy unit. But what I'm not in love with is a lot of their stuff is tied to psyker. The one really cool thing about this unit is they get to pick a prey unit, and prey character. I apologize, and they get full rerolls to hit against that character, and then when they kill it, they can pick another. So theoretically, if you put them on the right side of the board, you could pick whatever character you expect to come forward. And then that person would either have to play that character a little more defensive or risk the unit having full rerolls. I think it's an interesting unit. I'm not taking them to I'm not going to proxy and take them to the Texas Open. I need to get some reps in and play them and see how they do. but I will 100% buy 3 boxes of them because they look beautiful, and enjoy painting them.
Yeah, I mean, I think we said it on our wish list video for what every army needs in 11th, that you know, kind of a mid-tier or mid-pointed skirmish unit for sisters was something that you brought up that you'd like to see. So I guess 11th came early for this one,
Yeah,
but the sculpts are immaculate. They look
yeah,
really
10
good.
out of 10. 10 out of 10.
And
10 out of 10.
a lot of the stuff that GW has done lately, like with the redoing of the Raptors, with these units, with the new Necron units, with the new units for the Space Marines, they all look good.
Oh,
Like
so good.
all the sculpts are good. Now, if they would just, you know, recast some of these older models, like,
Stop talking crazy.
yeah, waste of
All
money.
right. Chaos Space Marine, all you.
All right, Chaos Space Marines, they're Raptors. They got a Grotmus detachment that leans on the Raptors. They did go up in price, 20 points for 5, 40 for 10, but uh they got some rules changes in there where instead of taking 2 special ranged weapons, you can now take 4. They made it where you can take also 3 special melee weapons in that group. It's a justified point cost addition to a unit that's going to be strong in that detachment. It's still usable. Going to be a little less auto include, but they're good at trading. There is a little bit of nerf to their speed, but at the end of the day, still a strong unit, still a cool unit. Um, but at the end of the day, with the Grotmus detachment, we really haven't seen a lot of people that have placed with that Grotmus detachment. And looking back from data going all the way back to the beginning of last month, I personally have not seen any Chaos Space Marine players running Raptors. But
Saw one this weekend.
well, you saw one this weekend, but I really haven't seen much outside of that. So, I mean, I think they know what power is there in that Grotmus detachment that came out for them, which do you remember the name of it?
Yeah, it's called Nightmare Hunt. I mean,
Nightmare?
I think here's the biggest thing. Them getting, I think they saw the unit wasn't super played. I actually really like this change personally. I like it. They did the same thing for Retributors with Sisters. I like it when they take a unit and go, this unit's not being used at all. We're going to give it a really good buff and we'll just give it a little point increase. I think people just think, oh, make it cheaper, but making a shitty unit cheaper just makes a shitty, cheap unit. The fact that they went from 2 special guns to 4 and 2 melees to 3 and got grenades, you know, that's great because a unit that moves 12 that now can shoot 4 melta guns that can grenade you, shoot 4 meltas, and then charge you and do real damage. They have the potential to wipe out a 10-man unit of these guys could easily wipe out like a 20-man Brick of Krieg. They could very easily do a bunch of damage. Like, think about them now coming out and shooting at some Victrix Guard. They get 2 of those meltas to pop off. They've killed 2 Victrix Guard. They throw a grenade, which will average 3. They've now killed a 3rd one. So that 6-man unit's now down to 3. Then they charge into them with their melee. They probably kill another 2 or 3. And that's not, they couldn't do that before. So I actually think that it's a cool buff.
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about making crappy units higher points and they're still crappy, Blight Lord Terminators, I rest my case.
Yeah. All right. We're going on to the big winners of today.
Necrons.
The big winners of today.
Like
the Necrons. Like, we're going to leave this image up for most of it because hot damn. Listen, GW, you put out some models and I go, eh. You put out some models like the Sisters when we showed, and I go, wow, those are beautiful. And then you put out some and I'm like, y'all were cooking because this is beautiful. I don't know how the fuck you take this to a tournament without breaking it, but this is beautiful.
This dude came straight out of the Matrix.
Dude, he looks amazing. So here's the thing. Big picture for Necrons. Massive, massive rules buff. Points cost to acknowledge the power increase that you got. I still think Necrons are like, if you're a casual player and you don't understand it, you're probably mad because stuff went up in points. If you're a competitive player, you are dancing and you are having a good time. Think about this just globally. For the most part, one of your biggest weaknesses, movement. a lot of your units went up in movement. Um, when you're thinking about this big guy right here, you know, the fact that he has now got 16 wounds and he's got deep strike, ooh, that's scary.
And 10 inches of movement.
That's scary. That's scary. Deep strike rapid ingress on a unit like this with his melee profile, and then he's gonna go 10 inches afterwards. That's terrifying. Now, we gotta acknowledge he did lose his half damage. It went down to -1 damage. I do think that does hurt some of his tankiness, but I would sacrifice that all day long for an additional 4 inches of movement and deep strike, because he needed it before, because he basically walked backwards up the board, just tanking shots to the face to get in close. Now, man, he basically, they turned him into a Primarch. They turned him into a Primarch. So I think he's a bad dude. I think he's a bad dude, and he looks incredible.
Sorry,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead. No, you go ahead. I mean, yeah, he went up in points, but all the shards went up in points.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. So the Deceiver went up in 20 points, but again, movement got a big buff. His melee got a teeny buff. The Nightbringer went up in 10 points, got another movement buff. The Void Dragon went up 10 points, and the Catan went up. Everything went up, 10 or 20 points, but they also got a buff on top of that. So I think, like we talked about earlier, I think most of the community is like, we're totally cool if you want to make our point cost go up, just make the model better. So the point hikes are tiny, because you got to think, a 10-point hike on a 315 point model, who gives a shit? It was a 3% increase.
You're losing an enhancement, or you're losing a small point scoring unit that you would have you had to fill anyways.
These are all 4 of these units are meta defining threats. These are units that when they go on the table, if you don't have a plan to deal with them, they're going to run wild. This is like, personally look at like this model right here. It's no different than if somebody has Mortarion or Angron or Gilliman or the Lion or Gaz. Like, when you have those big army defining units, you have to make a plan as the opposing player of how you either are going to deal with it or ignore it or whatever. So, I think making the rules better and just making the points go up, it's the opposite of what they're doing with Angron right now. Like, make the models good. We're fine paying a shit ton for them. They're the centerpiece of an army. And if you have this and you paint it, this is your centerpiece. You want to play it. You want to put it on the middle of the tabletop. I was talking to one of our viewers the other day in the comments, and he kept asking me, what army am I going to start? And I'm basically down to 2. And the longer I stare at this, Necrons keeps getting higher and higher on that list. Like, man, there's just such a beautiful freaking model.
Okay. Every single one of these shards are Cetans. Except one.
One is ugly as sin.
All of them are centerpiece models. Then you have the Silent King. Then you have the Tesseract Vault. They have a slew of centerpiece models. Not just one, not just 2. They got a plethora. And
is this a centerpiece?
I mean, that's a bookend.
Yeah. It's ugly as shit.
I mean, trust me, if GW wants to redo it, I promise you it'll look better than the Nightbringer.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
But I mean, it could be the paint job too. I don't like that paint scheme.
It's an ugly model. It's tiny. It's got to be next. So let's be real for just a second, okay? So here are I'm gonna give you guys the different Void Dragons, okay?
Baller. Wouldn't want anybody to touch it. Baller.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, not sure how you transport it, but not my problem.
With care.
With a lot of care.
You would almost want to reinforce each of those lightning bolts or those pieces of electricity with a paper clip just to make it sturdier. Yep. I mean, that model's okay. It's going to be like the Nightbringer and the previous one, best ones. This one and the other one,
yeah,
bottom.
So here's maybe a better picture, but like, to your point, these 2 are brand new.
Those 2 take the cake.
That have been redone. This one's a little older. I think this one got redone a couple editions ago, but it's still not bad. It's not bad.
I mean, it just looked
And
like
then
black mold.
this one is, I think this one came out before my kids were born.
Yeah, I think the one before this just looks like mold growing inside of a bowl that you left in the fridge too long, and it's just
There's
kind of
some really cool. I'm not going to get in trouble with GW, but there's some really cool proxies,
oh yeah,
and there's some people that have done like look at that.
oh no, that yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
like when you look at like paint jobs like that, you go, all right, that model.
the paint job, like if you put a skilled master with a brush behind something, they could polish a turd and make it look like gold.
Very true. Very true. All right. So overall, big winners. Detachments. Their detachments are a little trickier. So Cryptek Conclave gives you a lot of shooting flexibility, anti-infantry and dev wounds. It gives you out-of-phase reanimation. It's really strong toolbox. I'm not a Necron player, so I can't really go into it, but I can just tell you from my thought of playing against it, I think this is going to be a really high skill detachment because of how you're going to have to plan almost a turn ahead, not just a few phases ahead. But I actually think this one is without question could see competitive play. I think it's good. I don't think it's the best, but I think it could see competitive play.
Oh yeah, and then you looked at Cursed Legion, which is our top pick.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
even better.
Destroyer Colts get 2+ strength across the board, army wide strength spike across the board, advanced shoot and charge. Come on now, they
Dude,
can
advanced and charge is all that it, like as soon as a detachment gives advanced shoot and charge, it's like, oh,
they lock you into your deployment and jail you. It's going to be a bad day. And normally you don't have to worry about that with Necrons.
speaking of the destroyer cult,
But
there's
they,
a new boy.
and I'm going to make a bold statement and prediction right now. If this detachment is available for the Texas Open, they are going to place in the top 4 easily.
I mean, it's got a lot of fight first. It's good. It's got good damage. You know, we are in an infantry meta. I don't think that's a horrible pick. I just curious how many people will have all the models and have the time to get the reps in. I don't know.
Where there is a will, there is a way. I would even make a bolder one. I wouldn't be surprised if it's top 2.
Nah, I'll bet you on that one. You want to make a wager?
Nah,
Yeah.
I only make sure bets now.
All right, Pantheon of Woe. Okay, monster auras grant +1 AP. It's got a lot of Catan synergy. It is extremely lethal. Extremely lethal. Basically, whatever your Catan touches will die. The downside is that you're going to be playing multiple, which means you're going to be playing a castle army. And what I mean by that is you're going to basically have like 4 or 5 like 300-point units. And if you lose one, your entire game plan is going to start crumbling. So those armies are very careful, skill play. When they get rolling, they're a snowball and they're unstoppable. But you know, is what it is. All right.
You don't want 300-point models ping-ponging through your army.
Yeah, you're not wrong there. So all in all, winners of the Dataslate today: Necrons, Cursed Legion, Catan Shards, Wardens of Ultramar, all winners. Losers, I do think Victrix Guard came out a loser. I'm going to put Chaos Raptors just because they weren't seeing a ton of play. I don't know enough about them. They, you know, somebody in the comments may tell me I'm crazy because the damage buffs they're getting, they'd happily pay the points for. Not sure. All the new Marine detachments, I think they're all bluff. But final take, I think Necrons are back. I think we are going to see Necrons. They were already doing all right. If you've watched our last 2 Meta Mondays, like they 2 weeks ago, they were doing really well. Last week, they still had some placings. I think this is just going to continue to bump them back up. And, you know, and so I think they're going to do more. I think this is a really good sign for 11th edition that I could make the argument with outside of Ultramarines. This is maybe the best balanced version of the game I've seen. And Ultramarines were the best army. And instead of them neutering them, they did a very soft-handed nerf to basically try to take them from the top, you know, down to just like a strong army.
They brought them back down to the playing field with everyone else.
Yeah, yeah. I still think that they're like, if we were rating armies, and I think before they were like maybe one of only 2 or 3 S tiers. I think that if we were to re-examine, I think all of our S tiers would go to A tier, and they might be the top of A tier, but they're still A tier. Like
Yeah.
I just to give you frame of reference, I'm still trying to decide what I'm going to take in 2 weeks, and I'm going between 2 different armies, and I was literally teching for what is my answer for 12 Victrix Guard in both my list. I was going, what is my answer if I have 12 Victrix Guard across from me, or am I just going to take an auto loss? So I was teching for that. That's how big of a deal it is when you're playing at the higher end tables. So that was what I was looking at. Now after today, I'm literally going to rip my list apart and start over.
I'm not
Now that
afraid
I'm
no
not worried
more.
about it. I'm not afraid no more. Like, I'm really not. There are some things I think are scary in the meta. It's not it, man. Got anything
No,
else, Jace?
except for I'll take I told you so. I mean, other than that, I have nothing. I mean, I figured it was going to happen. But look, for those of you that are like, hey, they're listening, they see it. We still have a ways to go before 11th comes out.
We do.
Expect some nuttiness because
Yeah.
it's fine to be nutty at the end of the edition and then rein it all in at the start of a new edition with new rule sets and things. But I will guarantee you, and I'm not talking chaos as in terms of chaos gods. I'm talking there is going to be some chaos before we get 11th. Just
I think that's a fair bet. Well, we'll close out here. I just wanted to, again, from the bottom of my heart, say thank you for the support you guys have shown us and the love. It's really been really cool. I take a lot of pride in this. I try to work really hard to put out some good stuff for you guys. I know Jason does too. When Chris and James have been on the channel, they want to make sure we put out good content as well. So we really appreciate it. If you will drop a like, and if you haven't subscribed, if you would, it helps us reach other people so we can share this with more people, and tell us what we've done wrong. I had somebody the other day that called me out on something I said on Samuel in one of my shorts, and I was like, holy shit, he's right. And I've played that wrong before, and it made me feel like a dummy the amount of times I put that model on the table and gotten that rule wrong. So tell us when we're wrong, man. We're always learning, and we appreciate it.
keep
But
keep the hobby alive. Go out there, play an RTT, play a GT, even if it's your first
go
one.
play. Go play.
Hey, get the goop. Get the goop. Go
Get
get
the
it.
goo, baby. All right. Well, drop a like and subscribe for the Emperor. And remember, in the grim darkness of the far, far future, there's always more to break down.